Hi, welcome back to the bookshelf of timeless classics from the Daily Better, a channel dedicated to sharing personal growth insights through great books. Today, the Daily Better is excited to introduce to you a truly fascinating book called The Wisdom of Wolves. While most works of philosophy, biography, or psychology we've explored in the past have revolved around human lives, this book takes a very different path. It shifts the spotlight to a remarkable creature, the wolf. As you turn its pages, you may be surprised to realize that the animal so often portrayed in popular culture as dark, dangerous, and ruthless is, in truth, a philosopher of the wild. Wolves, with their simple yet powerful way of living filled with loyalty, compassion, and strong principles, have much to teach us. Lessons on how to live with purpose, raise children with care, communicate with honesty, and even lead with integrity. In our modern urban lives, stressful, suffocating, uncertain, and full of noise, it's often the voices of nature's beings that carry the healing strength and inspiration we most need. The author of this book is Towery. Once she lived the stable life of a high-paid lawyer. But one day, in the middle of a trial, a thought struck her. Why am I spending my days tangled in deception, locked in arguments, trapped in endless calculations with others? Is this truly the meaning of my life? That moment of awakening pushed her to let go of the career so many would envy. Instead, she applied for an internship at a wolf sanctuary in Indiana. Her journey didn't stop there. Towery went on to endure the long and challenging path into the wilderness of Minnesota, where she formed a close bond with wild wolves. Through countless invaluable encounters in the wild, she gathered stories and insights, weaving them into this very book. Within its pages, she shares the lessons, philosophies, and reflections inspired by wolves, offering it as a gift from nature itself. A mirror for our souls. A reminder that wolves are more than just howls echoing in the lonely night. They are teachers, companions, and philosophers of the untamed forest. And now, let's dive together into today's story. Learning how to nurture family love and raise children from wolves. Have you ever wondered why, among countless animals, it was the wolf that humans chose to domesticate, turning it into our closest companion, the dog? Archaeological and genetic studies suggest that between 15,000 and 40,000 years ago, humans chose wolves, not apes or monkeys, even though those species were far more intelligent. Why? Because wolves possess emotional intelligence, and above all, they live with deep affection, placing family and community above themselves. Over thousands of years of domestication, the wolves chosen by humans gradually evolved into the dogs we know today. The author once observed a wolf pack living together and found their atmosphere filled with harmony, ease, and love. When not hunting, wolf pups roamed freely, playing not just with their parents but also with siblings, uncles, and aunts. Even the busy adults always made time for their little ones, playing every day, sometimes even letting the pups win on purpose so they could feel joyful and confident. It's a subtle, skillful way of teaching. It reminded the author of the book's advice: play with your children, because that is the best way to inspire and build trust within them. This style of parenting, full of love and presence, is something many of us still struggle to practice. What's even more admirable is that raising the young is not just the responsibility of wolf parents, it is the duty of the entire pack. Wolf pups grow up surrounded by the arms, energy, and care of a whole community. That's how they become strong yet tender, resilient yet compassionate. Wolves truly understand what it means to love. They are always ready to sacrifice themselves for their families. There is a touching story about the wolves of the La Mama Valley. Once, an adult female was attacked by another pack known as the Molly Wolves. Surrounded and in danger, she might not have survived until a young 2-year-old female bravely charged in. The young wolf knew she was the fastest in the pack and knew every corner of the valley by heart. Using that advantage, she distracted the Molly wolves long enough for her companion to escape safely. In the end, both returned unharmed. This is how wolves embody solidarity and sacrifice for one another. In harsher circumstances, some wolves have even given their lives using their own bodies to shield their kin, never to rise again. These are not acts of mere instinct, but proof of profound love and noble selflessness. Within a wolf pack, bonds are strong and respect flows between members. This unity stems largely from their clear and consistent way of guiding one another. The author once witnessed a striking scene. A pack of wolves was moving into the forest. More than 10 adults walking with discipline and order at the front. Behind them, a playful pup lagged, distracted and mischievous. The first time, the pack stopped and patiently waited. The second time, they did the same. But when the pup fell behind a third time, still lost in play, the adults quietly turned their backs and left. Startled, the pup scrambled after them, and never again did it make the pack wait. This was their way of teaching a powerful lesson delivered without scolding, but with unity and consistency. In contrast, many human families lack this kind of agreement. Parents often disagree about how to raise their children. Sometimes one becomes overly strict while the other indulges. And grandparents may secretly bend the rules, slipping treats to grandchildren despite dietary boundaries. This inconsistency creates cracks children quickly learn to exploit. When one adult refuses, they turn to another for what they want. Clearly, we humans have much to learn from wolves, to stand as one family, united and consistent in our ways of guiding, not through orders or shouting, but through agreement and alignment. Wolves also astonish us with how they nurture affection through rituals of connection. Every day, pack members young and old alike groom one another, bask in the sun together, and play together. These simple acts are in fact a profound language of love, reinforcing trust and strengthening bonds. And that haunting image of wolves howling beneath the full moon, so often painted as eerie or frightening, is, in truth, a sacred family ritual. It is the moment when every voice in the pack joins as one, bodies and spirits united. These rituals are the invisible threads that sustain love and cohesion among them. Meanwhile, in modern human society, we are gradually losing the power of ritual. Unlike wolves who affirm their bonds daily through small gestures, many families today barely share moments beyond hurried text messages. A 2022 Google survey revealed that 80% of conversations between urban parents and children lasted less than 3 minutes, revolving around questions like, "Have you paid the tuition?" or "What were your test scores?" Deeper rituals like a morning hug, reading together before bedtime, or 10 minutes of open-hearted listening are rare. And so, many families may live under the same roof, yet feel miles apart emotionally. But we can choose differently. We can choose to truly live each moment with our loved ones. Treasure shared meals, not each person in their own corner with a phone and a bowl. Studies show that families who share dinner at least 4 times a week have a 30% lower divorce rate, and children with 40% fewer psychological issues. So sit down together, taste the flavors lovingly prepared by your family's hands, feel the love infused in every dish. Recognize that you are being cared for, that you are enough, that you are deeply loved. And from this recognition, gratitude will quietly rise, a delicate, enduring emotion that nourishes every relationship. These are the rituals, simple yet profoundly moving, that remind us to love, to belong, to stay connected. True rituals don't need grandeur, they only need sincerity, consistency, and the power to awaken our sense of harmony. Happiness, after all, does not lie in possessions but in the moments we share with one another. Learning leadership from wolves. For a long time, we misunderstood animal hierarchy, believing that competition for leadership was simply about gaining mating rights. But this observation only holds true for wolves in captivity. Packs confined to zoos do not reflect the true nature of wolves in the wild. In limited spaces, resources become scarce, and wolves are forced to grow more aggressive just to survive. That is what creates rigid hierarchies, where the strongest dominates a survival of the fittest model, much like the one humans often apply in competitive environments. But in the wild, the alpha wolf is not necessarily the strongest. In fact, the strongest member usually carries the heaviest burdens, leading the way, taking on the hardest tasks so that the true leaders, the alphas, can conserve energy and make wise decisions. Leadership in wolves is rarely the role of a single individual. Instead, it is shared by a loyal, monogamous pair seasoned by experience and grounded in responsibility. Together they guide the pack, though final decisions often rest with the alpha female. Why is that? Because the feminine qualities of the wolf give her quiet strength, decisive yet free of domineering conquest, firm yet full of compassion. It is no coincidence that wolves often form strong bonds with women who share similar qualities. A wolf entrusted with leadership is one who embodies two core virtues, courage and compassion. First, courage. But this courage must be coupled with wisdom, guided always by the principle of selflessness for the good of the entire pack. Only with such a balance can an alpha make firm decisions in moments of danger, able to advance, but also wise enough to stop. Once a pack chased a deer to the very edge of a cliff. The deer stood defiant, ready to leap into the abyss. If the wolves had allowed bloodlust to take over, they would have chased it further and risked their own destruction. But the alpha gave the signal to stop. He understood that survival of the pack mattered more than a single victory. This decision reflected the essence of wolf leadership, placing the safety of the group above personal pride. Then comes compassion, an often underestimated quality in leadership, yet the very root of its strength. Compassion in the alpha wolf shows in three ways. First, in how it treats its own members. Take the story of the legendary wolf 21, an alpha known for his power, yet also his gentleness. After every hunt, he always let others eat first, lying down quietly while his family feasted. Because of this, he was deeply loved and respected. Second, in conflict resolution, the alpha wolf does not enforce order with violence but with emotional intelligence, listening, understanding, dissolving tension. Rarely does an alpha kill an enemy. It is enough for the opponent to submit, and then mercy is granted. For wolves, true victory lies not in elimination, but in maintaining balance and harmony. This is how the alpha builds enduring authority. The author herself once learned this lesson firsthand while working as a guide in Yellowstone. In the beginning, she often asked visitors where they wanted to go, only to spark endless debates and confusion. Later, she changed her approach, confidently proposing the best route, saying, "I know this park well. Here is the path I recommend for you." From then on, everything flowed smoothly. Guests trusted her, sought her guidance, and respected her expertise. This too is wolf leadership. Authority is not built on force, but on confidence, courage, and the willingness to serve. Learning to live fully in the present from wolves. What does it mean to truly live in the present? Perhaps we can find inspiration by observing how wolves survive. First, wolves always communicate clearly. They possess many ways of expressing themselves. Scientists have identified up to 21 distinct types of howls. Yet what matters is that their communication is simple and direct. Humans, by contrast, often get trapped in the complexity of language, misunderstanding each other, failing to say what they truly mean, or letting emotions distort expression. Much of our speech becomes a projection of ego, complaints, blame, irritation. Wolves, however, are straightforward. If they are happy, they show it. If they disagree, they make it clear. This clarity ensures that information passes accurately within the pack. Such honesty is the first key to living fully in the present, learning to express our true thoughts without masks. Second, wolves embody the principle of enough. They hunt only what they need and do not kill recklessly. They waste nothing, using every part of their prey. Sometimes they even collaborate with ravens, an intelligent bird that warns of danger, signals toxic carcasses, or alerts wolves when thick hides are too tough to pierce. When they share a kill, wolves don't gorge themselves first and leave scraps. Instead, they eat alongside the ravens. Over time, this evolved into a relationship deeper than mutual benefit, a genuine friendship. The author once witnessed a wolf mourning a raven's death. It lingered by the body, carried the bird carefully, and eventually buried it in snow as though giving it a proper resting place. A striking testament to interspecies friendship. Some claim that wolves are ruthless, that they sometimes slaughter entire flocks of sheep. But this is a misunderstanding. A shepherd in the U.S. once explained that when wolves attacked his flock, he blamed himself, not the wolves. He admitted he had failed to protect them properly. Wolves, when hunting deer, typically kill only one animal. But in a pen full of sheep, their predatory instincts are overstimulated, leading to multiple kills though they take only a few away. With better protection, wolves can even become guardians. One shepherd installed an electric fence. After one wolf received a shock, it began patrolling outside the fence, effectively protecting the flock from other wolves. Far from greedy killers, wolves live by knowing what is enough, teaching us to live more lightly in the present. Third, wolves never let anxiety burn away the present. The author shares a personal story. Once, on her way from Germany to the U.S., a volcanic eruption grounded all flights. 6 months of careful plans collapsed. Frustration and disappointment consumed her. But then she asked herself, if I were a wolf, what would I do? She remembered her countless hours observing wolves. Never once did she see them panic after a failed hunt. Even when failure meant hunger for the whole family, they didn't despair. They simply rested, grounded themselves in the earth, and tried again later. Inspired by this, she released her frustration and turned to what she could do in the moment, like writing her book. Reflecting on this, one wonders, have humans, with our advanced minds, imprisoned ourselves in cages of overthinking? Wolves live by simple truths. They do not cling. They fight fiercely but let go peacefully. They love family and community without conditions. They live in harmony with nature. True wisdom may not always lie in analysis, but in cleansing ourselves of artificial complexities and returning to purity of being. In life, we cannot escape misunderstandings, criticism, failure, or disappointment, even with ourselves. In those moments, we might ask, if I were a wolf, what would I do? The wolf does not hesitate, overthink, or dwell in sorrow. It simply lives joyfully, peacefully, and with love. Perhaps this is the most precious lesson wolves can offer us, a reminder of the purity of existence. Thank you for listening to The Daily Better, a channel dedicated to sharing personal growth insights through great books. If you found today's video helpful, please share it with someone who might need it. Support us by clicking like, subscribing, and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss our weekly uploads. And if you have any thoughts or feelings to share, drop them in the comments below. Thank you, goodbye, and see you in the next video.